Welcome to Bird and Popcorn, the best show without a theme song. I'm Tony Thomas.
And I'm David Masakura.
We put a lot of planning into this week's episode until the
Star Wars 7 teaser trailer number 2 leaked. Not leaked so much as was actually
put online
by the Lucasfilm and Disney.
Because
people.
we were unsure if, we knew it was being live streamed, but
everybody knew what the dirty little secret was. Whether they put it up or not, it was going to leak.
Right. So
somebody was. I think. Did you see? I think one of the videos I saw of the people watching it, they were even recording it.
Yeah.
I mean,
even because it went on to the StarWars.com YouTube, put it on Movie Phone, every movie trailer, movie website, they had it up on YouTube within minutes. So obviously, Lucasfilm and Disney they gave it to them, and they're like, let us do it first, and we'll give you 5 minutes, and then you can put it up on your sites. So it broke, and we were unsure, like we were saying, when the normal people who didn't get to go to Celebration would get a chance to see this trailer.
I kind of, you know what? Thinking about it now, I kind of knew that it was they were going to just cave.
Yeah, something was going to happen because they were kind of on the fence on whether or not we were going to see anything footage-wise from Celebration, or if we were all going to have to wait until May 1st to see with Age of Ultron. A little part of me hopes that the Age of Ultron trailer has more footage in it.
I think, you know what, I actually think that is going to be the case.
Yeah.
Now, because if they made the decision to just release it, they're not just going to want to re-air the trailer that they have now. They might do an extended trailer, like you were just saying. I would imagine.
Yeah. Or who knows, maybe they're going to...
A whole new one.
Maybe, a whole new teaser, or maybe they'll surprise us and we get the actual full-length 2.5, 3 minute long
It's not
trailer.
Uncommon. It's really not uncommon with a movie of this size to release a full trailer that much ahead of time.
Right.
Because of the size of the movie, you don't really have to be nervous. You don't have to be nervous about we have to release a trailer soon to the premiere date, to keep people interested. No, people are not going to forget about Star Wars.
No,
you have people that are, like myself, we're trying to find ways to buy their tickets now. Okay?
Yeah.
This isn't something that you need to keep, to be afraid that people are going to lose interest in.
Right. I'm probably taking off the Friday... I'm probably taking that Friday off from work very soon, getting that time put in, so I can go see it at midnight and then see it again at the matinee first showing on Friday. So
clearly, we're making a date of this.
Yes, and you got to think, what other movies are coming out this summer that are Disney owned, where they could attach like a brand new trailer to? Age of Ultron's the big one. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the secret to getting people to see Ant-Man is to put the Star Wars full trailer attached to that.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Because I know deep down there's a little bit of fear surrounding Ant-Man.
Yeah, there is fear, especially because I watched the new trailer for that, and we'll get to the Star Wars trailer in a moment here, but I watched the new trailer for it. It looks like it could be good. Mm-hmm. It looks like they are including humor, and they're self-aware of how silly some of it is, because Paul Rudd does make a few jokes about the name.
Yeah, it kind of had a Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it.
Yeah, only a little bit, probably a good choice for that.
Yeah.
But, Guardians of the Galaxy had a big cast. So you did have fans of Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Chris Pratt coming to see it. This movie's really hanging on Paul Rudd's ability to bring them in. And Chris Pratt was riding a lot of popularity with Parks and Recreation.
The way they
into that, Paul Rudd doesn't have anything.
Not to mention the way they rolled him out with his new look.
Yeah.
They put out that shirtless picture that drove the ladies and the gays all nuts. I mean, that kind of.
Yeah. So maybe Ant-Man is going to be.
I mean, Paul Rudd. I mean, they're banking on the fact that he could bring in females as well.
Yeah, and that's why they made him look handsome. Well, athletically handsome.
Make him look handsome.
Okay, he is a good looking. What I mean is they Chris Pratted him. They bulked him up. They put him in they gave him a gym regimen. They couldn't. He needs to look athletic. So anyway, the Star Wars trailer debuted. And once again, we're going to do this.
Yeah, we're going to do our shtick where we're going to break it down shot by shot. I counted about 20 sequences that
sounds about right.
We're going to talk about.
Yeah, this trailer, 2 minutes long.
Almost 2 minutes. Can I just say this?
Yeah.
And this has been something that has been bugging me. There's a divide going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I was not impressed by the first teaser.
As your near mental breakdown on the last episode
demonstrated. You remember my initial reaction.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, and I found the words to express it just recently.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the first teaser, it just looked small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just looked small, and you know, and you compare it to this new trailer, this new teaser trailer too. Even if you watched it on your iPhone, it still would look big.
Yeah,
it still would look big.
And I watched this trailer on my phone because I was at work when it broke.
The people that loved, there's people that really loved the first teaser that are not impressed by this one.
Yes, and I have to say, from what I've seen online, that's a very small amount.
More than I expected. I literally thought that this would be something that would be universally praised.
From what I've seen,
there's a contingent out there.
Right, but from what I've seen, I haven't come across any. We
know two people that were not impressed by this Star Wars 7 teaser trailer.
Number two.
Number two. Miles and Brian. But again, Brian doesn't like anything, but...
Well, is he even a Star Wars fan?
Yes.
Just right off. What I mean is, I don't buy him as a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, you know...
And let me just put out there, he's not impressed by anything.
He's very hard to please.
So, to those people, the hard to pleasers, I don't consider their opinion.
Maybe we'll have people like that on to give their view, because I really, I never got a chance yet to get them to fully articulate what exactly it was.
Yeah, because there's one thing about saying, you can say, "Oh, I don't like it," but what about it? Did you not like the?
Miles mentioned some things.
Okay,
I mean, but I'll leave him speak for himself in the coming days. Perhaps we'll do a little follow up on this about maybe the negative reactions to Star Wars.
Right, but from the film community, from the film critics online, sites like the Nerdist and all that, it's been high praise. Even the Twitter reactions.
Yeah.
My favorite one was I don't know who said it, but it was some regular person. They tweeted, "I can't be the only person right now crying over this trailer."
No.
And there's a very funny mashup of Matthew McConaughey's character crying from the movie Interstellar, watching the trailer.
Or you should make a Chris Pine video where he was reacting to the Selma song from the Oscars, and have him
the tear coming down.
You could have the Star Wars music from the trailer playing in the background, and he's crying.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out here. I think that most of those people who disliked it are going to fall into probably two main camps. Mm-hmm. You're going to have the people who dislike it. You're going to have the anti-JJ. You're going to have the people who didn't want a new trilogy, and they're out there. There are I'm talking the hardcore classic trilogy people.
Yeah,
they weren't going to like this no matter what. Mm-hmm. Now,
first of all, what generation of fans are they?
God,
are they first gen?
Some of them are first gen, though. I have not met anyone young who's totally anti-prequel, anti-EU, anti-Abrams, and they're like, "Oh, classic trilogy, theatrical cut only."
Because I know, look, the young, the dirty little secret is that the younger generations, like the generation that came right after the generation of Star Wars fans that came right after us, because we're roughly the same.
Yeah.
They only like the prequels.
There's some, and
they tolerate like your younger brother Reese. His least favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. To give you a little bit of
which who knows? Maybe that will change when he's older.
Could be.
Because I'll admit it, when I was a kid, I didn't like Empire all that much. When I was like 8 or 9 years old, I liked Jedi and I liked New Hope more.
Yeah, but he's 13 now.
It did take me a little bit to appreciate the.
I have a running theory that I just think that they're so far removed from it,
which is also possible.
They're never going to be able to appreciate it. They're never going to be.
Which is also possible, but there are people.
Because remember, we grew up with the original.
Yes,
that was all we had, and then we got
the prequels because
they've always had the prequels.
They always had it. We kind of had to grow into it because, well, think about it. Aside from even the special editions, all Star Wars that we had was Dark Horse comics, the expanded universe books, and the video games.
Yeah.
And even the video games had a very classic trilogy feel to them. And then the other group, so in this anti-trailer contingency that I was talking about, the other group, I'm going to describe them as casual fans.
Or I think that they wouldn't have a strong opinion.
And by casual fans, I mean they like it, but they're not, like, it's not their life. They're not deeply invested like you and I.
It wasn't a part of their childhood.
It wasn't a part of their
in the way that it was like with I'm going to say it, true Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Because if you're a true Star Wars fan, it was a big part of your childhood.
It was, and I got to say, unless you were playing with those toys and you were like obsessed with it, I'm not trying to sound like an elitist Star Wars fan, but there is a level of fandom.
Yeah. There's a level of fandom to anything, and anybody that tries to write that off as some kind of like narcissistic attitude. No, there really is.
Yeah.
And that's just reality. You know? The people are very there are people who are very invested in this.
Yeah.
Because it is, well, I think I'm invested in it not just because it was a part of my childhood, and that's really the only reason anybody needs, but from a storyteller's perspective, it's kind of the reason why I fell in love with storytelling to begin with. And my belief is that films, television, books, they're kind of the temples of our age. Religion, for the most part, as far as mainstream culture goes, it's kind of dissipated in its power over the imagination. But I'll tell you what, a lot of morality comes from our films,
right?
And I don't think any other film taught us more about good and evil than Star Wars. I will, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, that a lot of my perceptions of good and evil as a child were built from Star Wars.
Same, and I have to say, with me, Star Wars is what led me down the rabbit hole to, everything else, like learning more about science fiction, learning more about
the gateway to everything, like sci-fi, fantasy.
Yeah, the only reason I own Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces is because of George Lucas and Star Wars.
I own it because it's great for storytelling.
Right, but I may not have come across it as soon as I did without knowing.
It's just right there in of itself is the argument to the level of fandom. So let's begin with our analysis, our in-depth analysis of Star Wars 7 teaser trailer number 2.
Yes.
I think we should begin with the very first thing we see, the Lucasfilm logo.
Yes, a very familiar
but different.
Yeah.
It's not the Lucasfilm logo that we saw in the prequels or even the originals. It didn't have that greenish glow to it. It was different. Personally, I kind of liked it because it's kind of saying, okay, this is still the same
little,
thing,
yeah,
but
different. Yeah,
it's a little different now. And I think if you look at that, that's being the very first thing you see. That's the signal. That's the symbolism of it.
Right.
I think.
And then it opens up with very familiar music.
Yes.
And
the emotional Star Wars music.
Yes, the Force theme.
Yeah.
So it opens up with this wide shot that the camera pulls out, and you see this little vehicle.
Speeder, maybe.
Yes, which most likely, my theory is that's the speeder Daisy Ridley is on from the previous trailer.
Rey's.
Yeah, Rey's speeder. And it pulls back, and you see a down X-wing in the sand.
Yes.
But it pulls back even farther. There's a bigger structure behind her. But it's hard to tell what it is until it pulls all the way out, and right before this scene, it's a crashed Star Destroyer.
Which is great because if you think about the way that New Hope opened, you pulled out, and the great thing that people saw when they first saw New Hope was they had no idea how big the Star Destroyer was until it kept panning and panning and panning, and that's kind of, I think, a throwback to that shot.
And it's a beautiful shot.
Now, here's my question about where that's taking place. I heard from some of the people at Celebration that is not Tatooine.
It's not that is confirmed. This desert planet that we've seen in both trailers is not Tatooine. It's a new planet called, I'm gonna guess it's probably
the name?
Yeah, Jakku. Jakku.
Okay. Do we know anything about it?
I have not had a chance to really read everything that's come out of Celebration because there's so much. But from what I've read, it is a desert planet.
Yeah.
And at some point, a great battle between the good. We're going to call them.
This is confirmed. What you're saying.
This is confirmed. Yes.
Okay.
Because that at some point this battle has happened over the planet, and that's what's led to this Star Destroyer being crashed along with that X-wing.
So it's a recently crashed.
Possibly, because now here's there's a new Star Wars video game coming out, Star Wars Battlefront 3. This comes out before Force Awakens. I think this is probably coming out in November, October. But they revealed at Celebration that one of the DLCs for the game is going to be the Battle for Jakku. And you're going to get to play.
Interesting.
Now, I don't know if this DLC happens before the film. I don't know if you're going to play out what might be the first battle of the movie. But that's confirmed. You're going to get to experience this part of this movie before you get to see it if you're playing this game.
Transmedia, the big new thing. And
now, the first book, Star Wars Awakening, I think that's what it's called. The first of the books that will lead and tell you the history of what's led to The Force Awakens. That comes out, I think, in late August or September, and that, I believe, takes place very soon after Return of the Jedi. So that book as well is going to lay a lot of groundwork. But yes, this is not Tatooine.
Yeah, so that kind of blows away my theory. My theory was that this was a junk world where
However, you are correct. Let's keep going. When we get to Rey a little bit, there is some confirmed information about her character.
My theory was that this was a junk world, and anybody that remembers Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64, you got to go to like the Imperial junk world, essentially. And I kept thinking, well, that would be kind of neat if they incorporated.
While we're talking about Daisy Ridley's character Rey here, it has been confirmed that her character is a scavenger, and I don't know if there's probably a lot of crashed ships on this planet. Maybe this is kind of like a bad spot for like pirates and battles to happen, because a lot's probably crashing on this planet. You could probably if you're one scavenger, you're probably not going to be able to dismantle a Star Destroyer in your lifetime.
Yeah.
So, but that is confirmed. She is a scavenger.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was saying this might be very well be a junk world. That would be interesting.
Because you do see a lot of crashed ships in the first trailer when she gets on the speeder.
It just seems like there's an inordinate amount there.
Yeah.
So the next shot that we go to, we fade to black, and then we reappear at the Vader mask.
Yes, and
you're hearing
the voiceover, Luke Skywalker,
where he's basically saying that
he's repeating this dialogue from Return of the Jedi, but it's modified. And over the Vader mask, which is on a pedestal, it's burned, melted. Mm-hmm. So somebody retrieved it from the funeral pyre on Endor. Mm-hmm. And it looks like there's a figure standing over it. Mm-hmm. Did you notice that?
It's hard
to make out because it's so dark. I mean, it could be a column, but it almost looks like there's a figure standing over it, like off to the side.
Yeah.
And this has some fans theorizing. The word Luke uses, he says, "My father has it."
Yes.
Not had.
Has, present tense.
Present tense. So, some are theorizing Vader's still alive, which I think that's a little far-fetched.
Well, no, I mean, we saw his spirit. I mean,
right, and that's what I think he's referring to. He's not dead in the sense that he's no longer out. He's one with the Force, and the Force is living through. So technically, he's
the Force is eternal. So it doesn't go by the.
So technically, he's alive. I doubt you're going to see Vader in this movie, only if he's a ghost, a Force spirit.
Well, that would mean that it would have to be Hayden Christensen.
In theory, yes, because of how Lucas retconned the end of Return of the Jedi.
Well, how else? The last time we saw him as a human,
right,
was Hayden Christensen.
That's the reason why Lucas wanted to go back and change that.
Because we never saw the old guy that was in the original trilogy.
Right.
That appeared. We never saw that
right.
ghost. That never was. He never looked like that.
Yeah. I doubt they would enrage fans by throwing Hayden Christensen.
I remember defending that.
Yeah, the change.
The change. That was one of the changes. I said, you may not personally like Hayden Christensen's performance, but that is.
That's
the only logical. Way that you could make that work. We never saw that old guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say, "Oh, this is the old guy he would have been."
Yeah,
but
the only thing you get close is when Luke takes off the mask at the Return of Jedi. But it does make sense for Christensen. So it looks like, back to the trailer.
Yes,
somebody has found Vader. Now,
if anybody remembers the leaked story concept art, there was the half mechanical, half man figure that was holding the Vader mask in a very Hamlet-esque way.
Right.
And everybody is saying that that's Luke.
Right. That's possible. Mm-hmm. Especially because later on in the trailer, when we get to Luke, is the next shot.
The next shot is R2-D2.
D2 next to what seems to be a campfire. It looks like there's there's cinder.
Fire.
Yeah.
Here's what the thing about that shot was, again, these are so hard to make out. Even on a big screen. Mm-hmm. I have two theories.
Yeah.
Maybe. Possible. Three.
Yeah.
One, it's in a cave and there's a fire.
That's possible.
Two, that's a flashback, perhaps, to the funeral pyre of Vader. And three, it's a figure with R2-D2 on maybe like a lava planet. Like
some people were theorizing Mustafar because of the look of the fire and the orange.
Yeah.
Now, we believe this is Luke that reaches out and touches R2.
Well, because the electronic hand.
Yes, which looks like he's replaced it.
Yeah.
Because this electronic hand looks improved, and he doesn't have the glove.
Mm-hmm. But there is a black glove that's touching R2-D2.
Was it a glove? I thought it looked like the mechanical hand because it looks like you could see the mechanics around the joints of the finger.
See, I saw a black glove. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
But it's so hard to see unless you really stop and screenshot it. But it looks like Luke is with R2 at some point. And then
the
he
next
said,
shot. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Oh no. Then the next line is, "My sister has it." Cut to what appears to be some kind of alien creature. If you look, you get a half-second shot of the creature, of that face that's handing the lightsaber to what we believe is Leia. It doesn't look human, and those fingers look a little alien to me.
It's small, maybe. The lightsaber is being passed, and the hand that's giving the lightsaber is lower than the hand that is receiving it.
Significantly lower.
So you could also say that maybe that's
a child.
Maybe it's Leia on a deathbed.
Maybe it looks like she's standing though.
I don't know. it's. I only see the hand reach.
Yeah, to me it looks like she's standing up.
One of the things that also leaked was Leia is now Queen Leia.
Yes.
So Queen of what is one question.
Which makes sense. I mean, princesses become
Well,
queens.
yes.
And we can speculate. Mon Mothma is probably dead.
Past, perhaps. Yeah.
Because she was older in Return of the Jedi, and 40-some years have passed.
So
probably not alive.
The next shot, of course, is it says "coming this Christmas."
Yes, and then you get the swell of music, and Luke says, "And you have it."
Yes.
So he's speaking to someone who we don't know, and I love the swell of the music and the shot of those X-wings.
Now, here was interesting note about that shot about the X-wing.
Yes.
That's the most special effects we see so far in the trailer.
Yes, everything
else has been pretty much practical.
Yeah.
Except for, the wide shot, perhaps.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It looks like almost a matte painting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a throwback to how they did a lot of the sets in not only Star Wars, but movies back then. Return of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the warehouse is a matte painting at the end.
It had a much grander feel. It had like that Lawrence Arabia feel to it. So this was like a return to. So you're mixing. So what the previous shots that we had were very much about the old Star Wars. You saw the lightsabers being passed. You saw R2-D2. You saw the Vader mask. You saw the old ships, the X-wings, the Star Destroyers. Now we go to a sort of new special effects shot. Yes, X-wings are on the water. We cut right to Poe Dameron. Going, woohoo,
and his helmet doesn't really fit all that well. It looks like he's having the time of his life. And
now the logo, the symbol that was on his, is that the New Alliance symbol?
Apparently, and the New Alliance is apparently called the Resistance.
The Resistance.
Yes.
Huh.
And Oscar Isaac at Celebration gave some backstory on his character, calls him the best damn fighter pilot in the galaxy. So it seems like he has a very Han Solo-esque swagger as far as his piloting skills go. And he mentions that he's sent on a mission by a princess. And this leads him to Finn and Rey, and forever their lives are intertwined. But if it's Queen, maybe this is some new character, or he could have just been referring to Leia as Princess Leia. But it looks like this planet that they're on is the same planet from the preview trailer. Only this time it seems like this maybe is like a training run, like they're taking the X-wings out. He doesn't seem to be heading towards combat. He seems to be
he's psychotic.
Unless he's because in the old trailer when they're in that more military formation when there's the fog over the water, he looks much more serious and the helmet fits.
Yeah, weird enough.
There's a lot of there's a lot of parallels to the previous trailer in this trailer as well.
Wonderful.
And then there's like two quick shots.
A very quick shot. We open up to presumably Kylo Ren.
Yes,
Kylo Ren fighting someone.
Confirmed that it's Kylo Ren.
But who is he fighting?
Now, is this the first shot? Is that him swinging down the lightsaber?
Yes.
Yes, and it looks like there's a lot of fire in the background. It looks like
a Mustafar kind of
right,
world.
And it looks like there's stormtroopers behind him. But he swings down the lightsaber, presumably killing someone. Yeah. And then the next shot is...
The next shot is Rey and
Finn, who's out of the stormtrooper costume,
and they are running. And if you look, and I had to look at this twice.
Yeah.
If you look, you see a speck, and that speck is a TIE fighter.
Yep.
Firing, and this is the first time, because we trivialize the TIE fighters.
Yeah.
Because we actually see the damage that they can really do on a planetary surface.
Yeah, and the shit's blowing up behind them. They're running for their lives. She's carrying some kind of long weapon, it seems.
And what the hell is that
And
weapon?
Finn's in a very Han Solo-esque kind of costume. He's got pants on, a leather jacket, and you see your buddy BB-8 running behind them.
Presumably gonna die in that scene.
And then it cuts back again to Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Another really quick shot. He kind of does. It looks like maybe a force push.
Rip or force push. Or...
And then you see more stormtroopers.
But the mask. This is where we now first see Kylo Ren's
a good shot
mask.
of them. And Star Wars Celebration, there's shots online from a costume gallery where they show off the costume.
Yes.
And they also have a display of the cross saber.
Is it me or he kind of looks like
the original Vader concept art?
I was gonna say Darth Revan from the expanded universe.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
But now that you mention it, the original.
It's somewhat of an Eastern look, and if you look at the original Ralph McQuarrie concept art, the original Vader concept art. It's very Eastern. Inspired, very samurai-esque.
Yeah.
But he looks fucking badass, Kylo Ren. He looks like could be the villain that we all hoped Darth Maul... Darth Maul was cool,
Darth Maul was awesome.
But he was underused in Phantom.
Yes.
And it looks like Kylo is going to be... He's going to give us all the evil Sith action that we wanted from the prequels.
So then the next shot, now that you mentioned the use of the original material,
yes,
like the stuff that was so original it didn't even make it to New Hope.
Yeah,
we open on an Imperial podium.
Yes,
stormtroopers all lined up,
which looks like an ice planet.
Yes. Now, why I mentioned that why I just mentioned the fact that this is something that. Is reminiscent of material that was originally conceived. Yeah. If you read like the first or second draft of the original Star Wars, the first time we see the Empire, Lucas wrote in the draft on a Coruscant-like planet. Yeah. He opened it on an Imperial podium, and you had the Emperor Kos Dashi or whatever his name was giving some speech or something like that. What we see on that podium is a robed black figure. Yes. And singular figure. Yes. Addressing, presumably.
And we don't know who this is. No. There's speculation that this could be the Andy Serkis character. There's speculation this could be the Domhnall Gleeson character, who's rumored to play some kind of military general. But we don't know who it is. But we
do. The other thing we see is the new Imperial logo.
Yes, kind of draped. It's like a modified version of it. It looks more sinister, and this is a very Triumph of the Will inspired shot.
Definite Third Reich.
Because they have the long flags like the Nazis had. Yep. They're all standing in line, and they all turn, and these are the new stormtroopers. And they roll them out. They brought them on stage at Celebration. They look very cool, very sleek. Yes. And the Empire, this is confirmed as well. The First Order is what they're called. The villainous faction is called the First Order. And from what I've read here, they're supposed to be very militarized, very radicalized. They almost seem, from what I've been reading, what's confirmed, and you could check this out on IGN. They have a little wiki on what's been confirmed. It almost seems like this offshoot of the Empire is almost religious in a sense. Maybe they're Sith worshippers, they're dark side worshippers. Maybe that's why this Vader helmet is on a podium somewhere. Maybe some dark Jedi, some Sith came around. Wow. That's just the feel that I'm getting here, that this is very cult-like, because the Emperor hated the Jedi. He seemed to run a very, I guess you could say, atheistic kind of empire. It was very totalitarian, very militarized. This one seems like there's a little bit more force worship to some degree. That's what I'm feeling from it. It's possible. Now, going back to the old trailer, the shot of the stormtroopers leaving that carrier. Yeah. Perhaps this is them coming off this. Perhaps that's the beginning of where this violence with Kylo Ren's happening, because I believe they also rolled out the flame trooper, a stormtrooper with a flamethrower.
You mean the Chrome Trooper?
Not the Chrome Trooper. This is another type of stormtrooper. Because if you look there's a lot of fire going on, And this Kylo Ren, maybe he's leading some kind of genocide. Maybe he's, destroying a village that did not submit to the will of the First Order. It seems like they're showing you the violence of the Empire that you didn't really see in the classic.
Kylo Ren now has like an ISIS kind of feel.
Yeah, I didn't want to say ISIS, but it does seem like that, because in Empire, the only genocide you see in the classic movies is them blowing up Alderaan.
Yeah.
But you don't really see the destruction there.
Mm-hmm. This is a more gritty feel.
Yes.
The next shot, of course, is a very quick shot of Rey.
Yes.
And
looks like she's in her home. It seems like she's still on Jakku.
The big thing there, of course, is that she looks incredibly reminiscent of Padme and Leia.
Yes, she does.
Which I think is kind of making it all too clear that she's perhaps the heir of the Skywalkers.
Yeah, because there is speculation that one of these characters might be the child of Han and Leia. Mm-hmm. And the speculation was that it's Rey.
Yeah.
And so we roll on to the next shot.
Yeah, we have a tie, and then we have Finn in his stormtrooper outfit.
In a hangar where shit's going down.
Yeah, there's clearly a fight going on.
Yeah.
My thing here is and what I'm really fascinated about, I think Finn has been confirmed that he at least starts off as a stormtrooper.
Yes.
So
because he's clearly on an Imperial carrier, a Star Destroyer or something, because it's a hangar, and it's a TIE fighter that's shooting at stormtroopers in the hangar, which is unusual because it's not Finn.
Yeah.
Because Finn's looking at
the destruction.
And somebody pointed this out, there's a quick shot when he takes off the helmet, right? Or he puts it on, I forget.
I think
he takes off. There's a bloodied handprint on his helmet. Like dry blood on it.
Yeah, and what I kind of hope is that we actually get to see stormtroopers in an oddly enough almost humanized, or at least we get to see what their world is like.
Yeah, and going back to Finn in the concept art for his character that's been revealed, when he's in the Han Solo-esque outfit, there's a lightsaber on his costume. Now, this could be the lightsaber that's handed to Leia. They could find the saber on Jakku or somehow. And there's speculation that Finn is Force sensitive, and that perhaps this is the person Luke might be talking to. So he's
probably going to end up as being maybe Calrissian's kid or something.
Yeah, we got to get Lando in somewhere. So
the next shot.
Well, going back to that one, it's unusual because Finn is supposed to be like this, I guess, runaway, reluctant stormtrooper. Mm-hmm. Maybe he thought it wasn't all that's cut out to be. Perhaps he disagreed with killing innocent people. Maybe that's why he turns. Somehow he gets off that ship and he ends up on Jakku, because in the first time we see Finn, he's on the desert in his costume. And at some point between him meeting Daisy Ridley's character, he gets out of it and finds his new clothes. But why is there a rogue TIE fighter?
That could be perhaps that there's a civil war going on. Perhaps the First Order fanatics.
Yes, perhaps there's a mutiny on board that ship. Perhaps there's other compatriots who are not feeling it like Finn, and maybe this is the only way off. Some have speculated maybe Finn is really powerfully Force sensitive, and perhaps he took control of that TIE fighter. But that would imply, if that's the case, that implies that he is stronger in the Force than Luke, because Luke struggled to lift a stationary X-wing on Dagobah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it looks like the movie's probably going to open up with quite a bit of action.
The next two shots are, I believe, connected, or at least they're woven together to make it seem like they're connected. Mm-hmm. You see a very quick shot of like an Imperial shuttle, one of those like fancy
a new design.
Sort of flying toward like what looks like a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, like a new version of a Star Destroyer, a beefier version.
Yeah, and then we see the Chrome Trooper.
Yes, walking down the hall with the sash and
shoulder cape.
and a big rifle.
And the most important thing about that shot, and what I've seen very few people talk about, is not everybody's distracted by the Chrome Trooper. People don't take notice to what's behind the Chrome Trooper.
I didn't notice this.
The wall print from the Death Star, the original Death Star. Remember the one where you had like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fighting? Those like little like lights that all go down. Same thing.
That's
wonderful,
interesting.
Wonderful old school feel to it.
And I doubt they're going to throw us a third Death Star.
No,
but perhaps it's a new Imperial super weapon.
Could be.
Now, some are speculating that this Chrome Trooper we see walking in the hall might be Gwendolyn Christie. Is that her last name?
From
Game of Thrones. That this
yeah.
might be her character. Because she's rumored to be playing some type of Imperial bodyguard, assassin type.
Yeah.
Perhaps she's the Chrome Trooper.
Yeah, people keep saying it's either her or Lupita.
Yeah. And there's also the other speculation with Lupita is that she's like an acolyte of Kylo Ren's. So we see her. And there's been silly speculation on the internet that the Chrome Trooper is Boba Fett. Which is probably the biggest stretch of all.
They really how old would he be at this point?
As old in the ballpark, I think his character is older than Han.
Yeah.
It's not Boba Fett.
I don't think so. So the next shot we see is the ball droid hiding and looking kind of scared.
Yeah.
The backdrop where he looks, it kind of looks like it could be the Millennium
It
Falcon.
looks like the Falcon, yes. And the interesting parallel, speaking of throwbacks, that's the same way Leia peers over when she's hiding from the stormtroopers, when she peers out with her gun. That's almost the same type of shot. She leans over practically in the same way.
Yeah. So
maybe he's scared because somebody's going to kill him.
It's very possible. And do you know who, ironically enough, could be the person that kills him?
Or are you going to say Han?
No, R2-D2.
R2, yeah.
Because it's been confirmed that R2-D2 does not like ball droid.
Yeah.
Which makes me like
R2 even more,
even more than I already enjoy.
If you watch the when they roll him out on stage at Celebration, he and R2 get into a little fight on stage.
Yeah,
beeping at each other.
Maybe it's because the ball droid looked scared, but he kind of looked cute there.
Yeah,
and kind of looked cute.
And what we were speculating prior to recording is that, if this movie is going to get as dark as it may, especially with Kylo Ren perhaps butchering innocents.
Yeah.
Maybe the ball droid is what they needed to lighten the mood.
I mean, as long as it's like a speck of like lightness in a sea of gloom, I'll be fine.
It seems like their depiction of the First Order seems very evil.
Yeah.
Rey and Finn seem to be constantly in danger.
Yeah. So the next shot we see is Daisy Ridley, aka Rey, holding out her hand to Finn.
Yes. Perhaps the first time they meet, or perhaps that's the aftermath when they escape from the TIE fighter.
He looks very fearful.
Yeah.
And he's obviously out of his stormtrooper regalia.
Yeah.
On that desert world, possibly Jakku, who knows. A really interesting shot there. Definitely Daisy is more the dominant figure in that scene.
Yeah, from what you've seen in that trailer, even from her running,
does not seem like a damsel in
distress.
No,
she's the one that saves the guy.
Yeah.
And she seems like she's a very tough character.
Yeah.
She looks like she's coming off to me from what we've seen so far. She's the modern heroine in these movies that like young fans, young girls deserve to have in this medium in science fiction, because we always hear about how female characters in sci-fi and fantasy are weak. They're damsels in distress.
She was called Slave Leia.
Yeah.
Who was being literally made into Jabba the Hutt's sex doll.
Yes. It looks like Rey wouldn't have taken any of that.
No. And this is sort of like And this is why pretty much you have the people who are not happy about strong female characters.
Yeah, which Kathleen Kennedy has confirmed this movie and the subsequent films will have,
and these are
very strong female characters.
Right, these are the very same people who all had the Slave Leia poster in their bedroom. And that's the way they liked Leia. They didn't like her when she was mouthing off to Han. They didn't like her when she was, leading the X-Wings from, Yavin. Yeah. But they liked her in the slave.
Yeah. Because Leia was feisty. Yes. Especially in Empire.
Yes.
She put up a fight against Han's attitude towards her.
But she had a sort of almost like a more subdued role in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. But even if you go back to her in A New Hope, she's the one that saves them when Luke and Han break out, because Luke and Han, they fuck up. They didn't think the plan through.
Yeah, no,
and they got them trapped in there, and she's the one that shoots the hole in the wall and tells them to go down, and she covers them.
Yeah. I think this is also a recognition that there, lo and behold, there are actually female Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
And this is for them. Perhaps this is a way to end that whole divide. Because for whatever reason, a lot of females never got into Star Wars. You can see it. Like most of the women that I've known in my life never really were Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
This was at least for me, this was always mainly a guy thing.
Yeah.
All of my guy friends were into Star Wars. Very few, maybe one or two girlfriends were into Star Wars, but few and far between.
Yeah.
Hopefully this gives women, rightfully so, a reason to enjoy.
Yeah, because when you watch the cons and everything, there's a lot of women and young girls. Funny enough, a lot of young girls love Vader, it seems.
Yeah. It's all dark and handsome.
Yep.
So the next shot we have is the Millennium Falcon
being chased
on desert planet.
Yep.
And it's going inside the carcass of a crashed or destroyed ship.
Perhaps the back end of the Star Destroyer, because those engines do look somewhat similar.
Yeah, they do look reminiscent of those original Star Destroyers.
And being chased by a TIE fighter, perhaps the same one that was chasing Finn and Rey.
Who knows?
But they lead into it and it's very reminiscent of the shots when Lando and Nien Nunb fly the Falcon in with Wedge falling behind into the bowels of the Death Star 2, because it looks a very smart throwback to that.
Oh, yeah.
And then it fades to black and we hear a very familiar voice, because up until now, nothing from the original cast, and we were told we were going to see them. And we see what we saw. We got Luke's voice, and we saw what may have been Leia, what may have been Luke. But you hear a voice, I think, that all Star Wars fans wanted to hear.
That's it. That's right there.
And you hear simply Chewie. Then it shows them, we're home, and it's Han and Chewie on what appears, obviously the Falcon. Yeah. Weapons drawn. So it seems like they have not been on the Falcon for quite some time.
Where the fuck was he all this time?
Maybe
if his daughter's like what kind of shitty father is he that his own daughter presumably has to be a scavenger?
maybe Han lost the Falcon again in a game of Sabacc, and that's
sounds like he's like father of the year here at this point.
And Chewie roars.
Yeah.
And then we get the title, the title and
title card.
Yes,
in 3D and IMAX.
Oh, there was 3D
on the title card. It said 3D and IMAX.
Well, I'm going to see this at midnight at the IMAX in Dixon City. Forget Cinemark. See this in IMAX.
I feel like maybe I don't know how I'm going. Now that brings us finally to what you were just saying.
And funny enough, the longer trailer, we took less time to discuss the longer trailer than the one.
How did that happen?
Yeah, there was more going on in this trailer. Maybe we didn't go on so many tangents this time around.
I think it's because we had so much to get through.
Yeah.
We had 20 really topics to talk about through this, but one that title card, which says that it's going to be in 3D and IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
How do you plan on viewing this Star Wars? Tony Thomas?
My idea is to get tickets to the midnight showing to the IMAX at Dixon City. I know a lot of people are, and you got to think about this as well. A lot of people are probably going to go to Cinemark, so you might not get ideal seats for the midnight showing unless you go up really early. And they're going to have a ton of theaters open for this as well.
I don't see any theater not having it.
Yeah,
they would be insane.
But I want to see this in IMAX. I saw Skyfall in that theater, and Skyfall looked beautiful, and the screen is so big. And the scene in that movie where fucking James Bond is getting shaved, you can make out the stubble. The picture is that high def. The screen is that big. I want to see this on the biggest screen that I can. It's going to be the IMAX.
Here's the thing. I'm debating that, or I'm debating D-Box.
D-Box, that is my second choice.
Now, I've never been...
Nor have I.
...to a D-Box. What I am going to do...
You may have to kill someone to get that ticket.
What I am going to do, however, is I'm going to try out the D-Box with Age of Ultron.
Okay.
I am going to go see that movie like that. And depending upon...
It makes some people sick, the motion.
Really?
Yeah. I've read some people online say that. Now, granted, these may be people who were not in good health for a D-Box, like older viewers or people with health problems. But I've read that the chairs do rock. If you put it on the top setting, they do get a little rocky.
Yeah, well, regardless, I am going to give it a try with Age of Ultron, because I think it's like, what, $18 or something?
I think so. It is more expensive than your average ticket.
Yeah, and so... Oh, and you can also reserve those seats, too.
Yes.
So that makes me feel a lot better. So that's what I want to try out. And I just feel like, for $18... There's only a couple of movies that come out a year that I'd be willing to shell that amount of money for. Obviously, Ultron is one of them, but obviously Star Wars is another. So depending on the experience, it's going to come down to the D-Box or IMAX 3D. So
and there's no way I do not see this at midnight.
No, this is listen. To all you Star Wars people out there, especially you young kids, where if this is going to be your first rodeo, going to the Star Wars at a theater, do it. Let me tell you, do it. Go in costume.
Yeah.
Bring the lightsaber toys. I did that when I was about 13.
When I saw Revenge of the Jedi, somebody cosplayed as Jabba the Hutt.
Revenge of the Jedi? Or
Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Yeah. A time machine.
Yeah. Because that was the original time.
That was a time machine to an alternate universe.
So, I'm not joking when I say this. You will remember that night.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the type of... Again, you may not like Star Wars Episode 1, but it is my favorite movie-going experience. It was magical.
It was.
Going with
Same
my
for me.
friends to that movie.
And if this film is even half... Fuck it. If this movie is even a quarter of what the prequels should have been, your mind will melt.
It's crazy that,
And this trailer restored your faith in this movie.
It did.
It showed you what you wanted to see. This
was the Star Wars that I've been wanting to see. And everybody's like, oh, Dave, you shouldn't expect a darker Star Wars or Nolan Star. No, fuck you, okay? I want that. And this trailer is alluding that this is going to go deep. It is going to go darker.
Yeah. Especially if the First Order gets into the whole religion of the Sith.
Yeah.
From what we've seen so far, the stakes are still very high for the heroes. Whatever happened at the end of Jedi in the Fallout, because we know people overthrew a stormtrooper on Coruscant off a ledge, and those buildings are tall. People celebrating the fall of the Empire threw a man over a ledge, presumably miles to his death. but something happens.
Yeah. Maybe they get them off of Coruscant. But
maybe. And perhaps it's only a certain segment of the galaxy that remains loyal. And how interesting will it be? Perhaps the Rebel Alliance being unequipped to lead this vacuum sort of established, where you get some planets uniting under perhaps the ideals of the old Republic.
Well, I hate to get all political, but that would definitely fit the times in which we're living
exactly.
In today. We were this grand superpower, but it feels like we're no longer we're going into a multipolar world. It used to be a bipolar world during the after World War II, where you had the United States, you had the Soviet Union. Then the Soviet Union collapsed. We were the lone superpower. We had a panacea for quite some time. 9/11 happened, Iraq happened, and now it seems like we're living in increasingly like a multipolar world. And I think that if that is the direction that Star Wars goes in, it will definitely fit the times.
Yeah.
Because the original Star Wars certainly matched the times in which it came out. It provided... A lot of people think that the Empire could easily have been the Soviet Union. If you really look into it, George Lucas wrote it where the Empire was actually Nixon's America.
Yeah, and I believe he comes out and says it in either an interview or a book that...
You can go either way with your interpretation, but it is definitely a critique of imperial policy.
Yes.
Imperial foreign policy.
And, what's the state of the galaxy if the First Order is even more radical and totalitarian, fascist, and evil than Palpatine's Empire? Because Palpatine, it seems like he was interested in control. He didn't care so much as if you disagreed with him, because obviously people on Bespin Coruscant weren't happy.
Right.
But if the Empire controlled it, he wanted... If he could keep people in submission, even if they didn't like him, that seemed to be...
He would use force.
He would use force and fear.
Yeah, he doesn't care, but...
And then, if the Death Star had stayed around, it's kind of like, well, you look, if you people don't...
the First
settle
Order,
down.
The First Order seems like it cares what you think about them.
Yes.
And it wants you to think like them.
Yes. It seems like if you're not in line with their ideals, you won't live. They won't enslave you. Because the Empire's game seemed to be slavery and submission.
Right.
These guys are
kill or convert.
Yeah.
And that is definitely keeping up with the times in which we're living in today.
Yes.
Because, there's people out there that believe identically to that.
Yes. And so we get a glimpse of the classic heroes. We get Han and Chewie. Yeah. So there's going to be more footage down the way. We're going to finally see Han and some more of these characters, because there's still a lot of people we have not seen yet. We have not seen Max von Sydow's character.
No.
We have not seen Donald Gleason. We have not seen the face of what's her name? Gwenadine.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her face. We speculate she's the Chrome Trooper. We haven't seen her. We have not seen Lupita. We haven't seen Donald Gleason. I think they're Andy Serkis. We heard his voice. Haven't seen him. Haven't seen Han. Haven't seen Luke or Leia. So there's still a lot of people left to see.
Yeah.
And they haven't even shown you the concept art yet of these other characters. Which is good. It's keeping us in the dark.
Because the whole point of these teasers... You ever watch trailers where they literally tell you the whole story and there's no point? The point of a teaser... Or even let alone a trailer, but the point of it
shouldn't give away the plot.
It should be making you ask questions more so than telling you what this is.
Yeah,
that's the point. And by the way, that's you don't really. Weirdly enough, Star Wars now at this point, they don't technically have to tell you the plot.
Yeah,
they don't. They should probably a little bit. But they are under no obligation, because we all know people are going to see this thing no matter what.
Right, and I'm sure you're going to get that longer trailer that's going to have plot points.
Yeah.
or it's going to give you a little bit of a synopsis. Interestingly, though, the rumored footage in this trailer is not what we saw at all. There was a rumor. It broke about a week or so before Celebration. It broke, and you read it and you sent it to me, and you're like, "If this is what we see, this is going to be great."
Yeah.
I don't think any of those sequences appear at all. Versions of them may.
Versions.
But for example, you don't see Finn ignited with a lightsaber approaching the figure with Han encouraging him. You don't see them in the cave with the blue alien. Perhaps this was an earlier draft of the trailer. Perhaps that footage exists.
Yeah, no, I'm
perhaps
sure it may.
Maybe that's the trailer we see with Ultron.
Ah, yes.
Maybe it's just all rumor. Who knows?
Well, here's the thing. From what I remember about reading what they said that the trailer was going to be, there were so many similarities.
Yeah.
I mean, not exactly, but there were. It just seemed very credible to me.
Yeah.
After watching this trailer, that seemed really credible.
It does, especially since it's likely that Han, Chewie meet up with Rey and Finn.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to wait on that. But your faith is restored. Mine has been boldened. By and large, I know there are detractors to both trailers and to the idea in general, but by and large, it seems like they are in a very small minority.
Yeah, no, I think this second teaser, it delivered what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted a big, wide, scope, epic looking thing.
It does look like that.
First teaser felt small, like I said.
This seems big.
This is all big, and that's the way Star Wars is meant to be. It's meant to be big.
You got big ships, you have at least 2 or 3 planets.
Yeah.
Not to mention whatever goes on in space on Star Destroyers, spaceships.
And what I'm liking most of all is it's a lot of planet-based action. There's nothing I loved more than seeing one of those little rinky-dink TIE fighters that we've always seen. They're just little rinky-dink things. You shoot it once and it explodes. You literally see the damage that they can do to people. I mean, there's a reason why the Empire employed them.
Yeah.
They do damage. And that was a wonderful. To me, that was just wonderful.
Yeah,
that just lets you know that this is somebody who's gonna take us deeper. We're gonna get below the surface this time.
Yeah,
because prequels were very surface. It was so very you
didn't really get into those worlds, and you didn't get into.
It was always removed a little bit.
Yeah.
You're getting right down into the sand as the TIE fighter is shooting at you. That is what I wanted. This is what I think a lot of people wanted.
And it looks like one of the biggest things I hated about Attack of the Clones was that when the clones finally attack, you didn't get to fucking see any of it because there's a sandstorm. In this one, it looks like even though this battle sequence with Kylo Ren's at night, it still looks like you're going to get a lot of action that you can clearly see. And it looks like you're going to get the stormtroopers, you're going to get this action. It looks like this is going to be everything at least from what we see in the trailer, it looks like this is heading in the right direction. Yeah. This does not look schlocky. It doesn't look fake. It looks like it is the right blend of practical and computer-generated special effects.
It looks more. It looks like.
It looks like it
has
almost,
substance.
Yeah, and it's
almost not just a toy commercial.
Yeah, and it almost looks like.
There's going to be cool ass toys. No doubt. And by the way, that's probably why they're releasing it around Christmas. Hint, hint, hint. But nonetheless, it looks like the story is having substance.
Yeah, because it looks like there's depth to it.
Yeah,
and you were talking about this earlier. The box office performance for this film, it's going to be record shattering.
I think that if there's just based on the reactions, based on the hype, based on people's anticipation of it, people's yearning for it, I think if any movie can unseat Avatar, it's going to be this one. Especially
since you mentioned in 3D, that's going to help with the ticket sales.
Because was that why you asked me what was the number one selling non-3D film?
Because I didn't know this was going to be in 3D.
Yeah.
And to me, like, well, the advantage of a 3D release is that the 3D ticket prices are higher. Yeah. So it does inflate.
It boosts your box office.
Right. Yeah. Which is why I wanted to know, like, you can't compare a non-3D release to the 3D because the 3D has a ticket price advantage.
I think you're gonna. This is like, people talk about going to see Star Wars multiple times.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to see it in 3D. You're gonna be able to see it in D-Box. You're gonna be able to see it in standard.
Yeah, and you know, this is a movie where people are gonna see it.
Oh yeah.
2 or 3 times. I think I saw the prequels all at least twice.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw Attack twice. I did see Sith 2 or 3 times. Maybe this will be the first $3 billion box office. So Avatar sits at, I think, 2.7.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
It's got to break that.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Easily this is $1 billion movie regardless.
No, Fast and Furious 7 is $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
All right. Star Wars 7, at the very least, is going to be a $2 billion movie.
Yeah.
At the very least. And if there's any movie, like I said, that can unseat Avatar, it's this one. Who knows? Maybe Age of Ultron.
Maybe.
You know, that's the big thing. What's going to make more money? Age of Ultron, Star Wars 7. Either way, Disney wins.
Either way, it's a good time to be a Disney shareholder.
Whew. Love that stock option.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Burn Popcorn. As always, I'm Dave Masakura.
I'm Tony Thomas.
Have a pleasant tomorrow.